20,000 bodies, frozen earth, pickaxes and shovels, and not a single word about it for 65 years. This is the story of the 961st Quartermaster Service Company, 260 African-American soldiers tasked with one of World War II's most grueling missions. They buried the American dead in the freezing mud of the Netherlands while the nation forgot they existed. Jefferson Wiggins was 16 years old when he lied about his age to join the U.S. Army. Born to sharecropper parents in rural Alabama, Wiggins had two choices: stay in the Jim Crow South where the Ku Klux Klan terrorized black people, or escape. As he later explained, the Army offered something simple but life-changing: 3 meals a day, medical care, and a chance to be treated with more respect than back home. So he joined. By 1943, Wiggins had been promoted to First Sergeant of the 965th Quartermaster Service Company. Like most black units in the segregated military, the 961st was assigned service work, not combat. They loaded trucks, they moved supplies. They did what the Army deemed fit for black men. In February 1944, Wiggins and his men sailed to Europe aboard the SS Frederick Likes. For 2 weeks, they endured the same segregation that defined America. White G.I.s were quartered on the upper deck with recreation facilities and lounges. The 2,000 black soldiers were kept below deck where there were no windows. They could get fresh air, but that was it. By September 1944, the 961st arrived in Margraten, a small Dutch village in South Limburg that had just been liberated from Nazi occupation. General William Hood Simpson, commander of the U.S. Ninth Army, had a problem. Thousands of American soldiers were being killed in combat daily. Bodies were piling up on battlefields. Soldiers were being left in the streets. The Army needed a cemetery, and they needed it immediately. Captain Joseph Schumann, head of the 611th Graves Registration Company, found 65 acres of farmland in Margraten. On November 10, 1944, the cemetery was officially inaugurated, and on that same day, Wiggins and his men started digging. What they encountered was incomprehensible. When Wiggins first arrived at the fields, there were thousands of bodies lying on tarps. Thousands. No coffins existed, so the dead were wrapped in mattress covers. The men of the 965th dug graves 6 feet deep, 6 feet long, and 2.5 feet wide, all with pickaxes and shovels because the frozen ground was too hard for machinery. According to Wiggins' account in the book From Alabama to Margraten, the men were assigned to dig 3 graves per day, but the conditions were hellish. Rain, snow, wind, mud. The ground would collapse. Bodies that had been dead for weeks. Bodies that had been dead for days. Some remains mutilated beyond recognition from explosions. The smell of decomposing flesh in the bitter cold. Wiggins remembered something specific. He said nobody talked during the day. Nobody. The only sounds were picks striking frozen earth and the quiet prayers from soldiers standing over graves. Some men cried. One soldier, Archie Johnson, sang hymns for each fallen soldier. His favorite became a ritual. Lord, I'm coming home. And here's the unbearable irony that Wiggins carried for 65 years. They were burying white American soldiers who, when alive, they couldn't even sit in the same room with. These were men they couldn't share barracks with, men they couldn't eat it with, men they couldn't associate with under the laws of segregation. But the moment those men were dead, Wiggins and his unit gave them the one thing America wouldn't give them in life: dignity. As Wiggins later reflected, they had been commanded to give respect to people they couldn't even associate with in life. And in that contradiction, something profound happened. Whatever prejudices they'd carried, whatever fear they'd internalized, they set it aside. They treated these young Americans, regardless of the color of their skin, with honor and reverence they deserved. From November 1944 through December 1944, the 961st dug graves in 12-hour shifts for 3 months straight. By the end, they had buried approximately 20,000 American soldiers. After Christmas, they moved to supply lines for the Battle of the Bulge. No ceremony, no recognition, no one mentioned what they'd done. Then came the silence. For 65 years, Wiggins didn't speak about Margraten, not to his wife, not to his family, not to anyone. The trauma was too deep. The memories were too raw. He buried the story the same way he buried the soldiers, with silence. It wasn't until 2009 that a Dutch historian named Mieke Kirkels was researching the cemetery and contacted Wiggins. He was 84 years old. There was nothing about the black soldiers in the archives, Kirkels said. She had to track him down through local residents. When she finally reached him, his wife Janice answered the phone. The moment she heard the word Margraten, Jefferson's stomach turned. He hadn't spoken that name in nearly 7 decades. But something changed. Wiggins decided people needed to know. Not about what he did, he was clear about that. He said, "I'm not concerned about people learning what I did. I'm concerned about them learning what American soldiers did." He published his story. He returned to Margraten in 2009 for the 65th anniversary celebration and gave the keynote address. Today, the Netherlands American Cemetery at Margraten holds 8,288 American World War II soldiers. Among them are 172 African American soldiers, including the men of the 961st who fought on the front lines when segregation was abandoned because the nation needed them to die. Wiggins lived until 2013. He spent his last years making sure the world knew that these soldiers deserved to be remembered, not as footnotes, not as service units, but as Americans who gave their lives and asked for nothing in return except to be remembered. This is Akemafuna History TV. We uncover what history buried, like this. Comment what shocked you most about this story. Subscribe and share this with everyone who thinks they know World War II, because if we don't tell these stories, who will?